Nerdorama Retro Nostalgia time. Have we got some super awesome retro nostalgia here today? This is definitely one that I played back in the day. This gorgeous box copy of SimCity. It's not my original copy. I did find it on eBay. It's fairly complete. The cover, as you can see, is a bit dirty, but I'm just so excited to have an original big box game of SimCity. So this video is going to be split into a few different parts. Feel free to skip through. I'm going to put the chapters in. We're going to be looking at the case, the discs. We're going to be looking inside the manual. Then there's going to be plenty of gameplay. It might even be split up into a few different videos depending on how long it is. A big thank you, thumbs up to the new subscribers. We're up to 10, 15, 17 subscribers at the moment. So I'm very, very grateful for my long-time viewers, but also welcome to the newbies. Let's get started. We have a gorgeous nighttime city. You can see we have a tornado. Don't get those here in Australia, but everybody knows about them from The Wizard of Oz. San Francisco, obviously one of the cities that you can play in SimCity. We have our budget meter right there. I never really played with the budget or paid attention to the budget at all as a kid. I would always just build the city for as long as I could till I ran out of money, or I would try the cheat and just get myself some money. Starting at 1900, obviously with our coal power, our steam power, commercial, residential and industrial zones, the energy we're creating. Disasters I always turned off because I always wanted to do as well as I can, but we're definitely going to be playing with some of the disasters. We have the monster, we have the fire, air disaster, tornado, and storms, if memory serves me correctly. Maxis software, still doing pretty well for themselves, but very grateful that they did start. This is one of the original city simulators distributed by Broadband Software. Now I've learnt how to jump to the zoom lens on my iPhone, so boom, there it is. I reckon we can zoom again. We can play this on an IBM PC, XT, AT, PS2. Compatibles, it does support EGA, CGA, Hercules Mono and Tandy graphics, requires 512K. Or if we're going to play at EGA, we need the full 640K. Mouse and printer are optional. So there's the Broadband logo. There's our Maxis logo. Let's have a little closer look at some of the images. Here we go. There's that city. There's our disasters. Our zones. Let's see what we have on the back of the box. Here's the back of our box. Design and build the city of your dreams. I'm going to zoom in so we can appreciate everything that we're seeing on the back here. Fight crime, unemployment and pollution. Control budgets, transit and population. Create industry, shopping centres, parks, stadiums, seaports and airports. Pre-built cities include Tokyo, San Francisco, Bern, Hamburg, Rio de Janeiro, Detroit and Boston. So here we have a few different screens. I'm going to zoom in even further. Here's our IBM EGA screen. Confront disasters, floods, earthquakes, fires, tornadoes, meltdowns and monsters. Now the Amiga screen, this one is very special because the Amiga was actually the first version that I played. I grew up with an Amiga 1000 before I had a PC, so I definitely played this a lot on my Amiga first. Real-time graphics and demographic mapping keep you constantly informed. The Color Macintosh 2 screens. SimCity includes maps of famous cities on disk, open to your design. And lastly, the Windows screen. It's up to you to save the population or engineer its destruction. Now, I think the version that I have is the DOS version because my box doesn't mention anything about Windows. SimCity is alive. SimCity is a model that works, but no toy train set ever looked this good. Lay roads and traffic moves, supply electricity and smokestacks churn. A system simulation from Maxis. So here we go, SimCity copyright 1989, first release, this edition obviously 1991. Wheelwright and Maxis, all rights reserved. Maxis 2 Theatre Square, Suite 230, Orinda, California, and all the numbers, phone number and also a fax number. Let's just have a little look at the side of the box. The lovely spine, SimCity, Maxis logo, IBM PC and compatibles, 5 1/4 inch and 3.5 floppies. Other side, but without the disc information. On the top, Maxxis logo. On the bottom, Maxxis logo. Let's take a look inside the box. We have the 3.5-inch disc. As with all discs now that I get for the retro computer, what I'm going to do is have a little look at the inside and see if we can see any mold or see any issues. So let me grab my little tool and let's see what the dealio is. Going to pop my disc in, flick open the latch. Let me get some zoomage happening. It is tricky to see. And I'm going to spin at the top. Let me get my spinner in. So we do have a few little white specks. Hopefully they're just a bit of dust. There's a little bit of a smudge there which could be a fingerprint or it could be some mold, because these discs, if they were made around 1991, that's very, very old. So what I do with these floppy disks now is I read them in my USB reader first, and if it's okay in my USB floppy drive, then I'll use them in the proper system. Let's check this side. Look, it's looking quite clear. I will check it again a bit more thoroughly off camera. The 5 1/4, let me zoom out a bit. So this one here, while it is hard to see, I do see a little bit of stuff there, but I imagine this is the position that the disc has been sitting in ever since it was put in the box all of those years ago. Yeah, it just looks a bit dirty there, but I'm really hoping it's just that area. As I turn it, we can see, or I can see some little things there, so it could have a bit of mold happening. Yeah, I'm definitely catching, yeah, you can see that there as well. So I will give it a clean with the isopropyl alcohol. Look, it'll be a shame if the disc doesn't work, but I do have a plan B. If it doesn't, yeah, I'm definitely seeing. I'm just going to move that around, see if the camera can pick it up. It's a bit hard with all of the shine, but yeah, I'm definitely seeing some stuff on the disc. Let's check this one. This one as well. Yes, I can see straight away here. So this one definitely, I will attempt to give a clean to before it goes anywhere near the drive, because the last thing I want to do is damage my brand new old stock, well, not even new old stock, just old drive that still works. Back in the day, we needed copy protection. So the game would prompt you with either the picture, and you would have to give either the name of the town or the population, or there might be one group of pictures for you to name the town or the population. Let's have a look at what these look like. The reason it was done on this red card is that hopefully it would be difficult for anyone to photocopy and reproduce. So you couldn't just go down to the library, pop it on the photocopier, because we didn't have color photocopiers back then. So at least it does come with the copy protection here. So I should, when I do have the game running, we'll be able to run it. Here's the manual. I've just adjusted my camera settings slightly, so hopefully we're not getting too much white light bouncing off and we can still see the paper. So our SimCity, the city simulator, user documentation for DOS. It's DOS version, IBM, Tandy, and compatible. So yes, not the Windows version, but that's okay. I'm actually going to spend a little bit of time having a look here in the manual, because this is all part of the retro nostalgia experience for you and for me, and I never bothered to do this as a kid. So now that I've got a copy with the manual, let's see what we can learn. We have acknowledgement of the concept artists, the people that contributed to the design, the IBM programming, graphics, sound. So there's Will Wright doing sound and graphics as well. People doing the documentation, just some nice special thanks. Again, the Maxxis software, limited worry, it's as is. So SimCity has no disk-based copy protection. You are free to make backup copies for personal use. Defective media returned 90 days from date of purchase will be replaced with that charge. I think I'm definitely out of that 90-day window. You can also see we've got some wonderful, really old yellow sticky tape. So there's rules, tools, we have human factors, economic factors, survival factors, and political factors. Simulation reaction time. It's a very complex multitasking piece of software. It's constantly performing many checks, calculations, and updates. All right, so the simulation reaction time is also greatly affected by our computer's clock speed and type of microprocessor. Ooh. So if you have an XT running at 4.77 megahertz, life in SimCity is much slower than on a 386 running at 33. To speed up time on a slow machine, see frequent animation and animate all in the option menu. My retro PC is a Pentium 100, so hopefully life will be okay. So the scenarios, which I am going to attempt to play through, each is included. It's a game in itself with an unlimited number of ways to win or lose. So at least I have a chance. Dream City, which is what I used to do. I used to just try and build whatever I liked. We have the various graphic modes. Hopefully, will at least be EGA, high-res, and VGA. That's what I'm going to be going for. Sound. It does say it's compatible with the Soundmaster board from Covox. And you can also send away and get the board. It also supports the Tandy sound chip. So I'm just hoping that my sound card is backwards compatible with these older styles. You can print your CD, but only an Epson compatible printer. Keyboard, mouse, and joystick. I do have a keyboard, I do have a mouse, and I do have a joystick. I can't imagine playing this with the joystick. I'm going to be hopefully playing with the mouse. You can install on floppy disk, but I'm going to be installing on hard drive. Fingers crossed my floppy disks will work, but I will err on the side of caution if it still looks like they're dirty because I don't want to damage my drive. So to get 640 by 350 in 16 colors, we will need the full 640K of RAM and 256K video RAM. So I think we'll be just okay with that. We've got the lovely opening logo and our nice tutorial here. We can set our options. You know I'm going to be playing on easy no matter what because I want to win. I've always been like that. Here we go, here's our copy protection. So I'd need to find the name of the city and the population of the city. Because all of these things only have 2 logos, and to name of city, I wonder if the book was printed before, because this all has 1, 2, 3 symbols. And as you can see, these only have 2. So that will be interesting to see. I'm sure it's all fine. We have our edit window, so it introduces us all to the window, the icons, the demand, water, clearing land. All of these things we take for granted because we're so used to seeing this type of outlays, but this would have been very revolutionary back in the time. We can see our city, bulldozer icon, residential. So you'll see in this version of SimCity, we just sort of start off, there might be some color references, I can't remember, but R for residential, C for commercial, I for industrial, and then these little buildings will start to appear. Probably not at the same level of detail that we're used to in a modern game. We've got our save options, all very straightforward, don't need to go through that. With a mouse, I'm sure I'll be able to figure it out. I might look at what some of the keyboard shortcuts are as we play through the game to see if that helps me. So here we go. Control L for load, makes sense. S for save, yep. Control X, so all fairly standard. Control A, auto bulldoze, on or off. Control M for map. We have our special keys. Temporary activates the power line icon as long as it's held down. Transits, bulldozer. Okay, good. Our system menu, very straightforward. Print, load, save. Save as, which is a process we all understand these days. Options, auto bulldoze, allows you to place zones, roadways, etc. directly on top of trees, shoreline without manually bulldozing. You'll be charged the same for manual bulldozing. I probably would turn that on so I don't have to bulldoze, then place something. Auto budget, when I attempt to play the scenarios, I probably will turn that on. What it does do, it keeps your percentage settings the same without asking for approval every year. If there isn't enough money to meet the budget, then funds will be allocated first to the transit system, then to the fire department, then to the police. So I'm suspecting that I will run out of money very soon. Auto go to will automatically take us to a scene of a disaster or major event. Speed might need to adjust depending on my processor speed. Maybe my computer is too fast. I might need to slow it down. Hopefully we can have all the animations on. The disasters menu. I guess I will leave these on because I do want the full experience. So here, a fire will start somewhere in the map, causes a flood to occur near water. An air disaster will be a plane crash. If there are no planes in the air, one will be generated. Very lucky. Tornado obviously will appear. Earthquake causes a major earthquake. The monster sets a monster loose in your city and disable, which is what I always did. Edit window. So these are going to be our main areas that we're looking for. Bulldozer roads, power, transit, parks, residential, commercial, industrial, police, fire, stadium, power plant, seaport, airport. I'm going to have to be looking at our demand indicator as well as I play. We have our dates here as well. January 2010. Can you imagine reading January 2010 back in 1989 or 1991? Wow. The terrain. What I used to like to do is if I could edit the terrain before I started, I'll try and make it as flat as possible and take out all of like the bumps and all of the land because I just wanted to build everything in grids. We'll see very clearly how our bulldozer, our roads, our power lines work. It gives us all the prices here as well, which is very, very nice of them. All of our residential zones. Now I can't remember if this version has low density and high density or if we're just residential. So this is where Sims live. I love that they are called Sims back here, even in the Sim City days. Build houses, apartments and community facilities such as school, hospitals and churches. Most develop into one of four values: slum, lower middle class, and upper class. They can range in population density from single family homes to high-rise apartments and condominiums. Some will automatically develop into churches and hospitals. Interesting, you actually had to build hospitals in newer versions, so good to know. Factors influencing residential value: pollution, which I'm always bad at depending on where I put my power plants, traffic, population. Okay, so commercial. It has 5 levels of growth and 4 values. Small general store to skyscrapers. Industrial zones has 4 levels from pumping stations and warehouses to large factories. Police departments will lower the crime rate. Fire departments are a need for spontaneous fires. Stadiums do encourage residential growth. Once a city becomes fairly large, you may build a stadium in a smaller city without negative or positive effect. They indirectly generate a lot of revenue, but create traffic. I like the sound of revenue. I'm going to keep that in mind. Power plants, coal and nuclear. Coal, enough for about 50 zones. Nuclear for about 150 zones. Yeah, it's less powerful and it pollutes is the coal. Seaports. Seaports I never really used in the original SimCity, but it does say they're good for industrial growth. Little effect in a small city, so as my city gets bigger, I need to do that. And our let's use real words, our airports. They will increase growth and our commercial markets. Okay, good to know. The budget window. I do like that it's nowhere near as complicated as more modern day SimCities. Transport. I thought it was meant to be trains. Trans for transport. Transport, police, fire. Right, I can read it now. Okay, tax rate. So fingers crossed I'll be able to keep on top of my taxes. Maximum tax rate is 20, minimum is 0. It does say here the optimum is between 5 and 7, so I will definitely want to follow that. To slow growth without shrinking, set the tax rate to 8 or 9. Okay, so I can slow my growth if my city is getting out of hand. Cash flow, which I will struggle with. Now these maps I never really had a lot of look at, like I know they existed, but I'm going to really want to work on crime, pollution, traffic, population, transportation, land value, city services to keep my city functioning because I always ran out of money. Before we build, so use the map before build. I do want to plan my city centre. The high-class waterfront residential areas. It never occurred to me to put residential near water because it's going to be worth more money. Okay, I'm learning quite a lot here. Water with bridges, power plants, industrial sections. So during city growth, use the map to guide your city's growth around forest areas to preserve the trees and improve property values. Transportation with traffic density to control and plan traffic. Use the city maps to make sure you have the proper ratio of residential, commercial, industrial. That's kind of the only thing I used to be able to do. All right, maintenance. So we're going to have to watch our power, evaluate effective coverage of police and fire, crime rate, all we've got to watch, pollution, transportation, land values. Oh dear, we have a lot going on, and we can see the historical data of our residential, our crime, etc. So that's a map we will be looking at. So I'm okay at interpreting graphs, so I'm not going to spend too much time reading that. So traffic. So if I need to improve traffic, replace dense sections with rails. Crime, add police stations. Cool. Pollution, replace roads with rails. Disperse industrial zones. Okay. Rails, quite important. Housing, zone more residents. Yeah, housing costs. Low property value areas. That's a very good tip. Unemployment, commercial. Yep, all right. Pollution is the... that does say population, not pollution. All right, I do understand that. So the net migration provides a rating of the desirability. If people are leaving in droves, then you know something is... Did it say rotten? Something is rotten in SimCity. It's probably going to be rotten in my city. So here is our city categories: our village, town, city, capital, metropolis, and megapolis. I'm pretty sure that with quite a few of the scenarios, you want to get to a metropolis or megapolis to win. So the disasters, they won't cross water or clear land. That's good to know. Effective fire department. Flooding will occur near water and spread, so you just have to wait for it to clear. Air crashes can happen if an airport, locate an airport away from the city to minimize fire damage. Tornadoes, they will destroy everything in their path and do also cause planes, helicopters, and trains to smash. Earthquakes, they are actually between 8 and 9 on the Richter scale. So I'm glad we all have learned that. They're going to destroy stuff. The initial damage will vary with the severity of the earthquake, and eventual fire damage depends on your fire control efforts. Monster attacks, high levels of pollution. Okay, so that's what's going to trigger a monster attack, and they're just going to destroy everything, and a lot of bad stuff will happen. Meltdown, if you have a nuclear power plant, if a meltdown occurs, your plant will explode into flames. A bit of a Chernobyl situation. The surrounding area will be unusable for the remainder of the simulation due to radioactive contamination. Oh no. Okay, and shipwrecks. All right, here we've got the scenarios, and they're actually quite interesting. I don't know how well all of them have aged, but I am definitely going to play each one of these and see how long I can survive and see if we actually win any of them. So Dolesville, USA, we're starting in 1900. Things haven't changed much around here in the last 100 years or so, and the residents are beginning to get bored. Boredom. They think Dolesville could be the next great city with the right leader. It's your job to attract new growth and development, turning Dolesville into a metropolis by the 21st century. So we've got 30 years to do it. It's easy. Want to become a metropolis. So San Francisco, starting in the ye olde day of 1906, we have an 8.0 earthquake. So damage from the earthquake was minor compared to the ensuing fires, which took days to control. 1,500 people died. Controlling the fire should be your initial concern here. Afterwards, clearing the rubble will allow the city to start rebuilding. So it's very difficult, and you only have 5 years to become a metropolis. All right, look, I'll give it a try, but I'm not holding my breath. 5 years. Ooh. Hamburg in Germany. So Allied firebombing of German cities in World War II caused tremendous devastation and loss of life. People living in the inner cities were at the greatest risk. You must control the firestorms during the bombing and then rebuild the city after the war. Again, it's another 5 years and very difficult. Oh, the next one's easy. So Bern in Switzerland. So it's 1965. Traffic is the issue. The roads here are becoming more congested with automobile traffic every day. Love those automobiles. And the residents are upset. They demand you do something about it. Some have suggested a mass transit system is the answer. It's all about trains, but this may require major rezoning in the downtown area. 10 years, easy, low to average traffic density. That's what I'm looking forward to because it's easy and I have a chance. Our next one, Tokyo, Japan, 1957. It is a monster attack with no copyright implications whatsoever. A large reptilian creature, Godzilla, rose from Tokyo Bay and rampaged through the city, destroying much of the industry along the way. Moderately difficult, 5 years, city score above 500. We have the 1970s crime wave in Detroit, Michigan. So by 1970, the competition from overseas and other economic factors. So it was the automobile capital of the world, it sure was, pushed it into recession. Plummeting land values and unemployment increased, and crime in the inner city rose to chronic levels. You have been elected after promising to reduce the crime and rebuild the industrial base. All right, 10 years, moderately difficult, low average crime. Boston, Massachusetts, 2010, nuclear meltdown. Well, you know, we've had a few issues around then. So it's about to occur in the new downtown nuclear reactors. The area in the vicinity of the reactor will be severely contaminated by radiation, forcing you to restructure the city around it. Very difficult, 5 years. Oh, here we go. This one we have one that's actually in the future. I think it is foreshadowing our rising tides based on global warming. So well done. So we have a Rio de Janeiro flood. In the mid-20th century, the greenhouse effect. Remember the greenhouse effect? We have many more issues now than the old greenhouse. Raised global temperatures 6 degrees Fahrenheit. Polar ice caps melted and raised sea levels worldwide. Coastal areas were devastated by flood and erosion. Unfortunately, some of the largest cities in the world are located on the coast. So it's moderately difficult, 10 years, city score. So I am really interested in giving some of these a try because I really don't recall ever trying the scenarios at any time. We have a whole bunch of tips here. Grow slow, watch your money. All zones need power, that I know. Zones must be developed to generate tax money. Yep, no buildings, no money. Roads or rails must provide access to and from each zone. So there's yearly maintenance for each section of road, rail, bridge and tunnel, which can add up. So don't build too many roads. That's something I wanted to keep in mind. Extra power plants and redundant power lines are expensive. Good point. Rails carry much more traffic than roads. Yes, I've definitely got the rails hint so far after reading this. Heavy traffic warnings, replace rails with roads. I know that. Grouping zones together, 4 or 5 in a row touching each other can eliminate a lot of power line segments. Really good tip. Airports, seaport stadiums won't help a small city grow, so save your money. Also a great point. And place zones roads carefully. They cannot be moved and you'll have to pay to bulldoze and rebuild. All right, the user reference card included in this box is which includes the zone. I don't think I have the user reference card, so that's okay. This manual is quite substantial, so I'm happy with that. Really interestingly, I love that we have an actual list of the files that are all on the disks. So the 3.5 contains everything from the original, from the 2 5.25. So if my 5.25s don't work, I will still be able to run it. I would just really like to be able to play from my 5.25s on the 5.25 inch drive, but I have a plan B. All right, I think we've sort of covered most of these, but I am going to read everything through before I play. So there's actually a really nice guide, which might set me up for a much better chance at winning some of the scenarios and getting a lot more out of the gameplay than I used to do. So the history of cities and city planning, elements of urban structure, networks, buildings, open spaces, evolution of urban form, transition to the industrial city, the form of modern city in the age of the automobile, economics of urban areas, modern city planning, visionary or utopian city planning, institutionalized city planning, and conclusion. We do have some troubleshooting thing. Let's have a look at some of the issues that might have popped up back in the day. You must run the install program even to run SimCity from a floppy disk. For 5.25 floppy installation, you must install to a new blank formatted. You cannot install to the original disks. Well, that makes sense because you would rewrite the data. When running from hard disk, make sure that you run it from the SimCity subdirectory or not be able to load graphic sets. So to get to the SimCity subdirectory, type cd/SimCity, then hit return. Okay. Remove all memory resident programs, ! This includes Sidekick. Well, I'm going to have to see what that is. PC tools, Norton Commander, graphics devices that put your video ROM into RAM, and all utilities and shells. Even expanded memory managers. All right, so it does look like we need the cleanest boot we can to get all 560K of RAM. If it runs but the animated characters are invisible, then you have something running memory resident. Remove it. Okay. If you're missing the smaller character set or having trouble running on a laptop, try running the DOS program Graphball. Okay. The SimCity graphics set for CGA is in the high-res monochrome mode. It does not show in color. Try turning off the sound. Try taking your machine out of turbo mode. The copy protection can ask the name or the population. Be sure you're entering the right information. If you have done all of the above and still won't run, and you have a math coprocessor, try disabling the coprocessor by typing set N087 equals disable on the DOS command, then hitting return. Geez, there's a lot of things that we need to worry about here. SimCity only supports the IBM Pro printer and Epson. Yes, if you're running DOS 4.0, 4.01, make sure you have the shell turned off. If all else fails, read the manual. Well, we've been very thorough. We also have a bibliography here, very nice. Related reading for children. And some non-fiction reading. And if you want any more information on city planning and related subjects, contact the American Planning Association. I wonder if they are still there. So, that's our manual. That's our box. These are our discs. Copy protection. I'm going to try and give the big floppies a clean. Not going to use them if I'm not confident, but I still have another trick up my sleeve to hopefully still be able to install from my 5 1/4 inch floppies.